Hallo ihr Lieben, ich bin wieder hier im Keller des Kongresszentrums mit Richelle Flanagan aus Irland. Sie ist eine unglaublich umtriebige Frau, hat ganz viele Projekte ablaufen und mal schauen, was sie zu erzählen hat. Yeah, welcome Richelle.
Thanks a million for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you. And I spoke with Nina and asked, what can I talk about with you? And she said, oh, just ask her. She has so many projects. What's on your mind, or what's on top of your mind? Which project is the most important to you?
Well, I suppose, in terms of the moment, I've just launched an app called My Moves Matter. And basically, it's been a journey of just over a year, and it arose from the work we did. It all started with a survey I did of women with Parkinson's around the world, asking them whether they noticed that their Parkinson's symptoms fluctuated or got worse around their period.
Yeah.
And in that survey, we saw that 150 women were still menstruating, and 84% of them were noticing worsening of their symptoms around their period. So that was the start of it, and then, sorry, I've been talking too much all week. So from that we actually co-authored a paper on the unmet needs of women with Parkinson's with Indra Subramanian, who's a neurologist in the States, with Sony Mather, who's a Parkinson's advocate, who is a doctor as well from the States, and Leanne Oosterban from the Netherlands, and also Professor Elena Morrow, who is an eminent professor of neurology from Italy.
Yeah.
She's originally from France. And basically that sort of raised awareness about the gaps that were there, and one of the things we identified was that we needed some way for women to be able to track their symptoms, to actually prove what we know they're saying is happening.
Yeah.
So I took part in a digital hackathon at the end of 2021, I think it is, out of Switzerland. It's basically run by an organisation called Day One, and I was asked by the Women's Brain Project, the Chief Scientific Officer, to put myself forward as a kind of patient champion.
Yeah.
And what you did is you had to go with an idea, and then a team of people come together to help you develop that.
Okay.
So we did that, and we won the hackathon.
Oh, great.
And I was completely blown away, and we won 15,000 Swiss francs funding. And I just kind of thought, okay, I've won this funding, we have this prototype, I really should push it forward.
Yeah.
So I looked for local grant funding from my local Enterprise Ireland office, which gave me money to do feasibility, and then I went on a sort of startup program for 9 months, and I got a grant with that.
Yeah.
So with all that money, which has raised about 47 grand, we built the app, but it's been a long journey. I see it's free to download for women now, and men actually can use it as well.
Yeah.
But basically on it, women can track their symptoms against their period and their medication intake, but they can also track their perimenopause and menopause symptoms, because we also saw that women, and I know myself, my own experience going through the perimenopause, my symptoms were much more erratic.
Yeah.
So it's really to enable women to be able to prove and log it and show the neurologist, because we know from the research that basically 90% of women said that the neurologist never talked to them about their hormones and the impact on theirs. So we kind of need to advocate for ourselves. So it's kind of a tool to enable women to empower themselves, to notice what's going on, but also to be able to share it with their neurologist and say, it's not in my head, it's actually happening. And what's also exciting is we're planning to do a pilot trial in Europe using the app to track women over a sort of 4 to 6 month period, so that we can actually
use the data.
Use the data.
So that's great. So what is the name of the app?
It's called My Moves Matter.
My Moves Matter. So MY moves and
moves and then matter.
Good.
Yeah.
It's not my.
So the idea is really in terms of, sometimes people think it's about movement. Yes, it is in terms of, obviously exercise is really important, but actually the term really is about what's your next move, what's your next choice, what decision are you going to make. And so the idea on the app is that you, with the feedback you can get from it, you can decide, well actually, exercise did work for me. I now have an exercise tracking facility on the app as well, so you can see, does it make a difference? You can also see in terms of, there's a medication cabinet on it and a medication reminder, so you can see, well, I took my meds at my meals yesterday, actually my symptoms were much worse. So it gives you something to empower you to make your next right decision in terms of, okay, I need to do this or this, which improves my symptoms.
So I'm really happy to see so many things happening around the women in PD, because it has been reflected up to now. So
hugely.
that's really great.
But it was really exciting this morning. There was the last presenter at the WPC here presented on a drug that potentially will not only improve dyskinesias but seems to have kind of an effect on Parkinson's, symptoms. Like, it was really exciting. But I kind of got up and asked a question, sort of said, what about young onset people, because they tend to suffer from dyskinesias more, and they're pretty debilitating. And then the other thing is, in terms of, he's working on the serotonergic system, which is associated with more anxiety and depression. And he did agree. I asked him, like, would you look at the gender, because women suffer more from anxiety and depression. So he sounds like he's going to do that, like, which would be really awesome to have. He said he'd have a separate YOPD group, and B, look at maybe the gender. So it's only by us speaking up and asking questions that we get them to think about these things.
Because it's not on their
on their gender.
Well, okay, so let's fight for women's rights. I think
absolutely. And I suppose the other thing that is really close to my heart, I'm a dietitian by background, is nutrition for Parkinson's. So when I came to the Congress in Kyoto in 2019, there was very little. And it's kind of why I applied to become an ambassador, because I thought this has to change. And I'm really grateful this year we have a much more focus on nutrition. We've had more dietitians here, we've had more neurologists talking about it. So I think it's a bit like the exercise for Parkinson's. I think diet now is having its moment. And when we don't have something that's going to slow progression, we have to do what's in our power. And nutrition is one of those things. But unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation out there, so we need to start actually getting proper evidence-based guidelines, so that people aren't taking supplements that are costing them a fortune and actually aren't doing anything for them and possibly making things worse. So it's kind of incumbent on the neurologists, which the research we did show that, again, neurologists are not really talking about nutrition, are kind of being a bit dismissive about it. And also, on the other hand, dietitians are giving out confusing information because there aren't consistent guidelines. So really, it's in our hands as health professionals to do something about it. But I'd also say to people with Parkinson's is to ask, because you cannot get access to a dietitian if you don't ask for it. And the more pressure is put on, it means also the dietetic organisations have to train them. So that's the way the systems work.
So ask questions.
Ask questions.
So one last question. Talking about questions, you received an award.
Yes.
What was it for?
So basically, it was a WPC Community Award. So for people who've done work for the community, and I was blown away. My colleagues back in Ireland, Gary Boyle and Shay Breslin, put me forward for the award. And I remember them telling me, and I was like, why are you doing that? Like, I'm not going to, but I kind of thought, yes, okay, I'll do it, because actually it puts Ireland on the map in terms of, because actually in Kyoto there was only 3 of us here, and there's very little, support around it, and so this time round we've got more people attending as a result of the awareness around the WBC. And I suppose the other thing then was, I decided to go forward in terms of young onset and a woman, because if you're not at the table, then the awareness. So I thought, well, if nothing else, there'll be a woman in the mix, and a young woman at that. And then when I got the call from Eli that I won the award, I mean, I actually ended up in tears. I could not believe it. I was completely blown away. But again, it was the opportunity to represent us women and the young onset.
So congratulations.
Thanks a million.
Thank you very much,
Richelle.
Thanks
a million.
It's been nice talking to you.
Well, look, I really appreciate all you do, and your wonderful, tapestry that you did for everyone. Like, it's amazing, and for all the women here who are doing advocacy, it's really important that we all raise each other's voices, and it's the only way. It's kind of a form of activism, so
it is.
We need to do it. And we'll change it. So the next conference we'll have, because actually at this conference we were supposed to have more women sort of focused topics, but I believe they couldn't get sponsorship for it, so we really need to push for the next Congress that we'll see actually maybe a whole section for women, and it's not to kind of put men's issues down at all, but it's actually Bas Blum said it yesterday, we are equal but we're different, so
that's it.
Potentially we need a men's kind of stream that looks at their personal kind of issues as well.